beta reading is a crucial part of my writing process. So today I'm going to share what tools I use to organize beta feedback and help me improve my book. So since my beta readers have just finished up for book 2 a couple weeks ago, I thought it would be a really good time to share my updated process and document setup. Beta reading requires a lot of coordination between the writer and the documents and the beta readers. To make things easier for both myself and the beta readers, I decided to go back to the drawing board this time around and really evaluate every step of my beta reader process. My goal for changing up the process this time was to keep things as easy as possible for both myself and the beta readers, while still having the same level of quality feedback I've gotten in the past. So the first document I need for my beta reader process is a sign-up sheet, and I just went with Google Forms for this. When writing up the description, I just made sure to add lots of details about the book, along with a link to the first book's Amazon page, as this is the second in the series, and then some other information on what the process will be like for the beta readers, what the deadline is, sample questions, and just sort of the general things that I'm looking for from beta reader feedback. It's really important to include lots of information in your beta reader sign-up sheet because you only want those who are truly interested in going through the whole beta reader process to sign up. You don't want to make it sound like a different process than it actually is, so make sure you're clear with your expectations from beta readers at the very beginning of the process. So my first couple questions to potential beta readers in that sign-up sheet are just basic questions about themselves, like their name, their age, and their email address. I then asked a few questions to help me better gauge their feedback later on, should they actually become beta readers. I asked if they themselves are a writer, professionally or as a hobby. I asked what their favorite genres to read are. And I also asked this time if they've read book 1 in my series. These questions will help me understand where some of their feedback is coming from later on. I also asked them to link their Goodreads page or their Instagram. It's really nice to be able to look at somebody's Goodreads page to see exactly what their reading preferences are before they become a beta reader. When it comes to the actual document that the beta readers will be reading and reviewing in, my setup is really standard. So my next step was to break the book into digestible sections for the beta readers. I ended up needing about 12 sections for this book. Each of my sections were about 22 pages or 7,800 words long. I think I could have made the sections a little bit shorter this time, but it didn't matter to me really if they read it in one sitting or not. My questionnaires this time are more about being checkpoints in between the different events of the story, and this is where I'm just trying to gauge their opinions and how they're changing as they're reading. My chapters in this book are kind of short. I have about 38 total, I think. And so I didn't want the beta readers to feel like they're constantly being pulled out of the story to answer questions. So it really just made way more sense for me to have only 12 sections and only 12 questionnaires plus one long one at the end. I just did another video talking about every single question I asked my beta readers this time around. I'll link that in the cards if you would like to watch it. So I just use Scrivener's compile feature to bring all of my scenes and chapters together into one Word document. Then after that, I bring it into Google Docs and start doing a little bit of formatting. So I made sure to set appropriate headings so that the navigation pane would be easy for beta readers to navigate. I also added a little welcome page at the beginning just to remind them what they're looking for before they begin reading. I made a copy of this document for each beta reader so that besides them, I'm the only one who can read their comments. I chose to do this because I want the beta readers to feel comfortable making comments as they go through, and some people don't like to do that when there's a lot of other people who can read their comments. Also, I was worried that if they're all commenting in the same document, some of them might get spoilers they didn't want. So when I sent out a new copy of the book, I just came back to this document and made a copy of it. So then all I had to do was add the beta reader's name to the title of the document, and it was ready for them. And just to be extra cautious, I chose to disable all permissions on the documents and make all beta readers commenters. So then once all the beta readers are done reading and commenting, I can just pull all these documents together and have all the inline comments in one Word document. Okay, so my next document was the summary. Because this was the second book in a series, I wanted to have a summary available for those who hadn't read book 1 and those who were just interested in reading a full recap of everything that happened last time. And I did everything pretty much the same as the actual manuscript setup, except all I did was just have one copy of the summary and make all the beta readers a viewer on that document so they could all just read it and then be done with it. Okay, and the final document that I needed for the beta readers is a welcome email. So in the welcome email, I made sure to include a list of all the different things I'm looking for feedback on. So here's a list of the things I asked them to look out for. For characters, I asked them to look for character arcs, descriptions, development, likability, and believability. So for story, I asked them to look out for the logic of events and their plot twist reactions. Then for the world, I asked for feedback on descriptions, setting, and the magic system. And then for style, just pace and readability. I also make sure to remind them here that this book has not had its final edits, so it will have rough areas and mild errors. I also remind them not to share any details or pieces of the writing with anyone else. And then the only thing I have to do after that is put a link to their copy of the book, and it's ready to go. So next week I'll be talking about how I use beta reader feedback to make edits on my book. If you'd like to dive into the world of Alexia, you can check out Age of the Gods, which is a free short story I'll have linked below. Alright, that's all I got for you, so thanks for watching. Bye!